So many drills.
Well, doesn't Micah Parsons treat every practice like it is a game? That dude is out there working his butt off all the time, and then when he gets on the field, it just looks natural to him because of that. And we were discussing earlier this morning, Babe, could he possibly be the best Cowboys defensive player ever? Defensive rookie or defensive player?
Defensive player.
Yeah, and just kind of your thoughts there.
Defensive player ever?
We said of the 21st century.
Yeah.
As Parcells used to say, let's not get the anointing oil out on this.
Sure.
DeMarcus Ware was one of those guys that just obviously jumped out to you. And I remember his first preseason game in Seattle. And he had an interception, played about half the game, had an interception, had like 2 sack strips, fumbles, forced a fumble, recovered a fumble. I mean, it was like a season's worth of work for a guy. And he had it in his first preseason game, and he played half the game. And that was when he just jumped out, and you said, wow, this kid is going to be special. And obviously he was. And it didn't take an expert to figure that one out. And I think Micah Parsons is the same way. I mean, he just jumps out at you in so many ways, chasing down plays, rushing the passer. I mean, I think he can do almost anything they ask him to. And he has.
Yeah.
But, to go there after, 10 games, it'd be pretty tough to say he's the best defensive player ever. They've had some pretty good players back there. But no question, he's been a force, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, looking at the Raiders, are there any particular, specific players or particular areas of the team that could cause logistical or matchup problems for the Cowboys?
Well, they don't coming in, of course. The game starts and all of a sudden everything changes. I don't think anybody thought Denver was going to pose a huge problem.
Yeah.
until about halfway through the game, and you said, wow, this is going to be a problem. But they don't run the ball very well. They don't defend the run very well. It's obviously a team and really an organization in disarray. I mean, that's been kind of well documented here over the last 4 weeks. I don't need to go down that road, but they just look like a team on a downward spiral, and it looks a little bit like a for who for what team right now.
And then for the Cowboys, then do you just stick to run? Is that the main key here? Because they couldn't pass for anything on Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm not making excuses, but there are excuses and there are reasons. And it was a windy day. It was a difficult throwing day in Kansas City. Won't be difficult to throw the ball at AT&T here tomorrow.
Right.
That's the beauty of these indoor stadiums. And quite honestly, to go down a little bit of a tangent here, I think it's why, in addition to everything else, rules but there's a lot of indoor stadiums. Minnesota isn't playing out in the cold in Bloomington with Fran Tarkenton anymore. You don't have the elements to deal with in so many of these stadiums. The Raiders now play in basically a dome. The Rams, Chargers, basically, they're in a dome. So the list goes on of all these places where it's climate controlled and you don't have wind to deal with, you don't have cold to deal with, and it just makes it a heck of a lot easier to throw the football. But, and I can just sense, and I think you guys can sense when you're listening to Mike McCarthy and the team and even Zeke Elliott yesterday talking, I think they'd like to get back to running the ball a little bit more. And the score, quite honestly, never got prohibitive in Kansas City.
Yep.
Till the very end. They were one score away from making, it was 19-6 there for quite some time, and you're one score away from making it a one-possession game. And they did get away from the run a little bit in that one. And, I just have the sense, especially because the Raiders do not do a great job in run defense, I just get the sense that you're going to see a team come out and pound the ball a little bit more and try to develop a little more of an attitude.
Babe, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because you just talked about weather and being a quarterback. In baseball, we have to make adjustments when we go to Colorado. We know that breaking balls, especially curveballs, are not going to break as low as we want. So we have to aim lower. It takes a little bit of time, but you got to figure out a different sight line. So when the wind is blowing or when it is colder, whether you're with the wind or against wind, because we heard maybe Dak was struggling with his deep ball in Kansas City because the wind was pushing the ball too far to start the game, or against the wind, the ball doesn't go far enough on the CeeDee Lamb interception concussion. What is it? Just a feel of like adjustment? Or are you saying I got to throw the ball 5 yards further when the wind is against me, and I got to throw the ball 5 yards shorter if I'm throwing it 40 yards? Like what's the exact kind of adjustment in that situation?
It's a good question because you never say, yeah, okay, I got to throw it 3 yards more. It's a total feel thing. It's not unlike, it's like you throw a ball 50 to 60 yards downfield to a receiver, right? Like you're running the go route. And I mean, the ball's in the air 60 yards. It's not like you dial it in like you bring in a scope on a hunting rifle or something like that. Yeah. It's a feel. Some guys obviously have a little better feel than others, but it's a total feel thing. And similarly, with the wind, against the wind, you just kind of put it in the back of your mind. Now, they warm up in it, so you try to get a feel for what the conditions are going to be. But as we well know, because you have a 10-mile-an-hour wind at the start of the game, could be 15 to 20 as you get into the various quarters. So you're always kind of making that adjustment. And again, it sounds like an excuse, but it's just more difficult to throw the ball in the wind. It's more difficult to throw it in the rain. I mean, we saw, 3 years ago, that ugly game up in New England. Dak struggled, Tom Brady struggled, everybody struggles in the rain. And I know you say, well, both teams playing it and this and that, but, it affects a little bit what you can do.